5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yo, you want to see something cool? No? Well, I'm gonna do it anyway.
Step into the scene! No, nobody can do it like me! Zoop house plate with the kick cuisine!
That's working. It's still split, huh? Where's the split? There it is. So, I wonder if we can.
Gotta go.
It's deep. Alright, so unfortunately, last time Matt and I were out, this rod got snapped. It's really compromised and messed up in here. So what I'm gonna try to do is just stabilize it. I wonder if we should just cut that off. Let's smooth it out a little bit. Fucking. That is working though. So we've gotten past all the splits. You don't see any splits in the rod anymore. And now we've got a nice clean little, I'm just gonna clean it up a tiny bit more, but we've got a nice smooth surface there at the bottom. Simulation. Catch the fish casting out. No cracks. Looks really strong. I think we'll be alright. I think I'm pushing maybe 20 pounds, 30 pounds. So that should be fine. I'm gonna use our basic clinch knot to tie this up. So clinch knot is 7 or 8 little twists in there. You make a small loop. You send your line through that small loop, and then when you make that big loop, you send your rest of your line through that big loop. And I'm just gonna pull, cut off that excess, and there you go, test line. So I'm gonna cut a nice piece off. Then I'm gonna tie that same knot. Now with this kind of line, it's a little different. You want to make sure that you wet it before you slide that down into position. You don't want the line fraying up against itself. Said I'm going to use a slider, and basically this is, for me, I think this is going to work best just because it gives it that up and down motion. So this would be the first step. I'm dropping this down, boom, getting it in the water. And then what I'd like to do for the second step is I'm going to use another piece of 12-pound line, connect it to here, and it's going to be hanging out in the river. And we'll put that to action tomorrow. You guys will actually be able to see what this looks like. So just a little visual for you guys. So you got your fishing rod here. We'll just put on a little handle. Yeah, buddy. All right, looking good, right? And then you've got your line coming from the top of that rod. Boom. And the line is split between 10 or 12 and 20 pound line. So we got 20 pound up top, 10 pound on bottom, and what's holding it together is a swivel that looks like that, which you guys just saw me tie up. And then we've got a slider on there, so we can add the line that has our bait. So there's the line, and then there's that weight down there that we hooked up initially that's going to hold us down to the bottom. And there's our bait. Let's make it pretty. Put a little green in there. Oh, just, I know, beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, so here's the example here. So here's our water. And our water's flowing in a direction that'll keep that bait swimming and floating So there's that current, boom. So that's the setup. All right, cool. So here's our system that we've got set up here. So I consolidated everything that was similar into different boxes, and it makes it a lot easier for me to find things. So typically what I'll do is before I go out is if I need swivels, because I'm gonna be re-rigging a bunch, I've got all my swivels in here. Some hard baits, got them in there. Got all my weights in here. Most of the weights in there. Got bobbers in here. And then we've got most of our hooks here as well.
Depending on water flow, which we were kind of just talking about a little bit between you and I, that's a good one. It's never gonna break.
I hope not.
Okay?
I've seen it happen.
Remember that.
I've seen it
The
happen.
metal's never gonna break.
I hope not.
What's gonna break is your knot.
It's gonna break is your knot.
My knot will never break.
Your knot might break in a half.
Can you see this? Can you see this MEPS? This is a MEPS that's probably, I want to say 60 or 70 years old.
I can actually feel how much action's on there. I can feel that by the weight of the spinner on here. When I get out to the river, I'm going to be able to cast it out pretty far. So this one's pretty simple, but I'm going to give you just a drawing so you can visualize this one too. So we got our fishing rod, and it's got a handle. Yeah, buddy. Looking good, looking good. And then we got our fishing line attached to that rod. And then we just have our lure. Boom. But the lure's heavy enough to get us out where we need to go, so we'll be good. 3 great setups, 3 different options. It doesn't make sense to have 3 rods and do the same thing on every rod. But right now, we've got our setup with our heavy weight that's going to sink at the bottom, and our lure that's going to float out into the current. We've got our spinner with no weight on our flexible tip. So these fish have a second option. And then for our third option, we've got our indicator with the same concept as the first rod where the bait floats out into the current. But instead of having a lure, we've got live bait there that we can try to catch them with. So I think this covers pretty much all of our bases besides if we were fly fishing. All right, guys, so sorry, what was I gonna say? Okay.
Well,
Here we go.
I can go.
Take 2.
I mean, I can
All
go.
right, go ahead. Yeah.
So we're just going through tackle right now, and we're getting into a lot of Grandpa's stuff, and it's beautiful. And he had a lot of great gear.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in here that could do a lot of good work. And in the future, we will be venturing into fly fishing, which I'll be more than happy to show you guys how to do and set up and cast and all that good stuff. But for right now, we're going after steelies.
Yeah, we're going after steelers. And again, this is just sort of some of the behind the scenes. I feel like the more prepared you are when you get out there, the better. And I'll do little things like the camp stove is getting pretty nasty and crusty, so we'll go through and clean that up. Do just basic, keeping everything maintained. But again, a lot of getting out there and catching these things is being prepared. The more research you do, the better. The more prep you do beforehand, the better. That way you're not wasting time when you're out on shore. When you get to the water, you're just able to get to that water, cast out, and then set up whatever else you need to set up. But those are 3 great setups. We'll see how they work tomorrow. We'll be filming another episode on the same river we were out last episode. And that was a great spot. We've seen fish jump in there. So it's promising. We've seen a lot of action there, so it's promising. So we'll be filming there again, and then we're gonna get an episode with Brandon after he kind of gives you the theology behind fly fishing. We'll do maybe just an episode where Brandon's teaching you guys how to fly fish. I know nothing about it, but I've always been super interested in it. Grandpa's got a nice fly fishing rod, and so we'll be putting it to use From what I've heard from a lot of guys, it's a little bit more difficult, but once you get that catch, it's a lot more satisfying. You usually get better quality fish on those flies. So catch us next episode. Thank you guys for watching too, guys.